Hello, my name is Katie Hales, and this is my review of Rethink the Internet, How to Make the Digital World a Lot Less Sucky by Trisha Prabhu. Summary, intended purpose, and audience. So the intended purpose is to educate and inform young and new internet users on how to use the internet and how to be a good digital citizen. The intended audience would be tweens and early teens, mostly between the ages of 10 and 14, who may be getting their first real taste of the internet on their own devices for the first time, like getting their own phone or tablet, where they get to have their own accounts. Now, the summary, author's credentials. Now, Trisha Prabhu is a young author. She was 22 at the time of the book's release and is 25 in 2025, who she has a lot of credentials. Her strongest would be that she's the inventor of ReThink, which is a cyberbullying detection and prevention app, and that work earned her recognition from the White House and a spot on an episode of Shark Tank. It also earned her a spot as the youngest honoree on Forbes' 30 Under 30 social impact list as of 2021. Now for the summary book's contents. Each chapter covered a different aspect of digital citizenship and why it matters, and also a narrative example of a situation in which good digital citizenship skills are important. And at the end of each chapter is a challenge for the reader to partake in relating to the lesson, and it's different each chapter. Summary activities. So some examples of those activities and challenges include ask a friend's permission before you post a picture with them on social media, and in the caption explain why it's hashtag always important to ask, which is from chapter 1. Then we've got practice detecting whether a source on the internet is reliable or not. First, find an article, image, or video that a friend or family member shared recently. Then, using the digital detective tips, determine whether the source is reputable and the content is trustworthy from chapter 3. And then from chapter 6 we have brainstorm a way you can use technology to support your interests and those around you and put it into action. It can be as simple as starting an online fundraiser for a local sports team or making a video for your mom on Mother's Day from chapter 6. Now for the review intended purpose. Does the book accomplish its intended purpose? For the most part. There were some sections that did it better than others. The sections that managed to accomplish the intended purpose the best are the wrap-ups at the end of each chapter, as well as the conclusion of the book. And I even wrote in my notes that the conclusion was like by far the most effective section in the intended purposes follow through. And the narrative sections in each chapter, which can be a little hit or miss with the teaching. And the wrap-ups did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of imparting the intended lessons, so they made up for it pretty well. As for review, would I recommend it? In terms of recommending it to other librarians, it depends so heavily on the ages of the librarian's patrons that I can't give a blanket answer for it. So librarians that work primarily with children and young teens, yes, it is made for them after all. And adult services librarians or librarians working with older teens, hard no. They would not enjoy it. Now review, why or why not? The language and examples are too juvenile to not feel super patronizing, cringy, or just overly childish to older readers. And the lessons and examples are also very heavily geared towards younger internet users and are, as a result, not terribly applicable for older users who aren't still in middle school. And the references to pop culture feel very how do you do, fellow kids, as illustrated in this slide here. For example, overuse of hashtags in the narrative section, such as this direct quote from chapter 1. To make matters worse, Melinda was, as they say, hashtag fashion blocked. And finally, the dialogue between characters in the narrative sections just feels like what I can really only describe as Disney Channel sitcom dialogue. It's unrealistic, overly quirky, and very superficial. People don't talk like that in real life, so it kind of takes you out of it. Now, as for my overall rating, for me it was a 4.5 out of 10, and were I not reading it for an assignment, I would not have made it past the first chapter. But do I think it's terrible? No. I'm just not the target audience for it, and I haven't been for at least 15 years. And I think it works fine for the target audience, but it has basically no broad appeal. Thank you.